Welcome to the TikTok Podcast, a place for real conversations about Lyme disease and tick-borne illness. Hosted by Christina Murphy, Lyme advocate, educator, and vice president of the LEAF program. This podcast brings together patients, doctors, researchers, and families, working to change how Lyme is understood, treated, and prevented. These are the stories, the science, and the voices driving awareness forward.
Hello, everybody. I'm Christina Murphy, and I want to welcome you to Frederick TikTok. And today we have Rebekah Ontiveros.
Ooh, very fancy. Yep, you got it.
You.
Hi, guys. How are you tonight?
She's a local girl, and I was so excited when I saw that we were going to have her on our show. Yay!
I'm very thankful you reached out. It's always nice to help a local.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think we're going to have many cups over at Dublin Roasters soon.
I will not say no to that. I am a coffee girl 100%.
Absolutely. All right, Rebekah, welcome to Frederick TikTok. For those meeting you for the first time, would you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. So my name is Rebekah Ontiveros. Online, you might know me as Bex Ontiveros. I'm formerly the owner, one of the co-owners actually, of the Hive Cake Shop, which was formerly in Brunswick, Maryland. You probably may have heard of us. We were on Netflix. We were also on Martha Stewart. We were on Food Network and a couple other accolades. My sister and I'm very proud of her. She's up in Alaska doing her thing, so I love her and miss her. Just had to give her a quick shout out from that.
Fantastic. So I mean, tell me more about. Okay, Martha Stewart. Really?
Do you remember when cocoa bombs were all the rage?
Absolutely.
I got bored one day and decided, well, why can't I do that with tea? Which is interesting because obviously I brought tea with me. So I'm a huge tea fan. So I was practicing learning with sugar at the time, and I decided, let's make tea bombs. And I made them, and Martha Stewart thought they were pretty beautiful, and she showed the world. And I'm very thankful because that was one of the reasons Food Network put us on what was it? Sorry, Lyme brain already kicking in here, is on Sugar Rush, which is where everyone saw us in 2020 when we did the filming out in LA.
That's fantastic. Fantastic. Okay, you describe yourself online with the phrase, bitten, not broken. Now, what does that mean to you?
That took a long time to sort of come to fruition. I really wanted to think about something that described. When I look at myself now, I think of somebody who did everything right in their lives. I went to college. I got straight A's. I did without a lot to make sure that I was always the best at everything I could do. Whether that was in my personal life, my professional life, academics, sports. But something happened to me, and that something was that I got bitten by a tick. I have decided I don't want that to define me. And so as people have seen me come through the journey of recovering from this, I have come through various phases of being broken.
Right.
I don't want being broken to define who I am or the journey that I have going forward. So yes, I was bitten, but it's not something that's going to define me forever. So therefore you get bitten, not broken.
That's an awesome way to describe that. Absolutely. Because there's many hurdles.
Yeah. Lots of hurdles. A lot of unseen hurdles, I think, in the Lyme community.
Right. Right. Can you take us back to the beginning of your journey?
It actually goes back. I was living here in Frederick, Maryland. I got bitten. My journey goes back to about 16 years ago now. I have to keep track of that. It was 15 years ago last year, so naturally it's 16 years. I was working as a preschool teacher in Northern Virginia at a very premier academic institution, and I was relatively new to the East Coast. I grew up in Anchorage, Alaska, where there's really no bugs or anything, so you don't have to worry about anything biting you.
Goodness.
So when I had moved out here to the East Coast, I had just casually heard about ticks. Little unknown fact about me, I actually first went to college to be a biology major. I wanted to be one of the scientists in the lab studying viruses. So I always had a natural inclination of wanting to understand medicine, wanting to do fabulous things for humanity. So much so I wanted to be a doctor. I went on a scholarship to the University of Nevada, Reno for a biology major. I was a freshman and I was invited to help with research, and I was excited, but at the time that just didn't really fit with a freshman's priorities. I'm sure you can understand.
Oh, yeah.
For the first time in my life, I was experiencing, real fun. And at the time that seemed great.
All the things that go with it.
Right, exactly. I wouldn't change it for anything, but I think now it helps me have a better understanding of, what has happened to my body, because I've had a really fundamental understanding of the mechanics of how this destroys you from the inside out.
Right.
And so when I get out here to the East Coast, I had just kind of naturally heard it in passing, done a little bit of research on it. I was outside on the playground with one of my students, and he was complaining that his knees were hurting. And this was very uncommon for him because he was very outdoorsy. He loved being outside.
Okay.
And so as teachers, we're trained to do casual health checks on children.
Right.
You're doing physical screenings, health screenings, and so forth to make sure there's no communicable illnesses going through your classroom.
Yeah.
I think a lot of parents don't realize that teachers are trained in that. So we really are paying really close attention to your children when they're in our charge. And so this was not anything uncommon to me. So I pulled him aside and I asked him, what's going on? And he's explaining to this. And I'm like, wow, that sounds a lot like this Lyme thing I just read about, which, okay, Rebekah, you're just kind of being psychosomatic here. It can't be Lyme disease. Like, this kid just doesn't have Lyme disease suddenly. He was fine yesterday. Like, this takes weeks, according to the literature. As I'm looking him over, he was telling me he had pain behind his ears. So I asked if I could look behind his ears. When I pulled his ears back, behind his ears, you could just see this thick black line of black crust.
Right.
And when I looked closer, you could see legs moving. I looked on the other side and I looked on his scalp. By the time that we had to exclude him from our charge and he went to the physician, they removed, I believe, over 50 ticks, nymph ticks from behind his ears. And I insisted at the time that they also check his younger brother, who was in a separate classroom.
Right.
I believe his younger brother had over 30 ticks on him.
Oh my goodness.
The family, was going through a lot, as most families do. And they had skipped bath time and the ticks had attached. And the child had a lot of difficulty in the years to come. So that's really kind of what happened. I ended up getting bit myself in the classroom. I went to an urgent care here in Frederick, Maryland after I came home one day saying, look at this rash on my arm. What is happening? They told me it was scarlet fever and gave me some antibiotics and to go on home. And I said, no, I'm pretty sure this was a tick bite. Like, I've got ticks in the room. This fits everything. I can barely walk. I couldn't get out of bed. One day I literally woke up and just couldn't get out of bed. And I think, 16 years ago, I'm 39. You can do the math. So there's no reason I shouldn't be able to take my dog down the stairs. I was living in the apartments up on 7th Street. Should be able to go down a quick flight of stairs, and I couldn't. So that's where it started. And my health just deteriorated from that. And doctors kept telling me I was crazy. I can't tell you how many times that I've been asked or told that I should be committed to a psych ward. That happened to me actually here at Frederick Memorial or Frederick Health. I forget what it's called these days now, but I think we all know what I'm referring to.
Yes.
And what I say and the stories that I share now, they're hard for, I think, people to hear. They're very ugly, and I understand that. But these are stories that we all have to hear if the Lyme community is ever going to really have our say. And ask for equity in what we have not been getting for decades.
Well, I mean, it even, for the general public to have their basic human right of knowing what's going on out there.
Absolutely. And right here too. And I think I have a unique perspective here as well, because here in Frederick, Maryland, we have the military community as well up at Fort Detrick. And at the time when I was married, I was on TRICARE, and Frederick was my home place where I would go get my, physicals, everything. And I kept going in, and I'm insisting. And I remember one time I had this fabulous doctor, and doctors with military, they rotate in, they rotate out. So you kind of just have to hope you get the good rotation that day.
That's right. Revolving doors.
Yeah. And for a while, this guy was really great. I mean, he was asking questions. He seemed like he was just really in tune and wanting to understand what was failing my body. And then he left. He got reassigned. I think, to Bethesda Naval or, somewhere else. And obviously I'm dating myself with that name, but anyway, he got transferred, and a new woman came in, and we had to start at the very beginning. And she heard my history, and she's like, "Fine, we'll do your labs. We'll start over." And I'm thinking, great. Okay, well, I've heard this before, but why not? We'll do it one more time.
Right.
The labs, of course, like most Lyme people have heard before, they came back normal. Yes, your labs are normal. And I remember asking her, and I said to her, okay, I can read the math. I understand that they're normal. But is it very hard to fathom that what could be normal for me, or what could be normal and within range, is not normal for my body? That is not new to the scientific community, and that is not new medical practice. That is not new to anything in medicine. And so I was hoping that by asking the humane question here, like maybe we could take a step back, because we all have bad days. We all have those really tough moments where we're overwhelmed. And we, I need 5 minutes, or if I just had 5, we're rushing. I get that. So I was just hoping to, I guess, appeal to her humanity. And, she paused. And so I thought for a second, maybe I'd gotten through. Instead, she says, well, humor me and let's talk nutrition. Well, I used to be in the ODP program. I represented the United States overseas in Greenland for indoor soccer. I have capped. I've had my nutrition critiqued since I was probably 10 years old, making sure that I was eating the right food, which is great because now I know I've always known what should be filling my body, and what's required for that. So to hear that was a little insulting, but okay, you know what? Fine. She's new to this. We'll do it. Maybe I'll learn something new. I can always learn something new. I'm not so hard-headed that I can't think that.
Exactly.
So she says, okay. Well, I'm going to schedule you with a nutritionist here at Fort Detrick. Okay, great. Fine. So she, we got everything scheduled, and she told me who to schedule with, and I schedule. I come back. I forget how, it was relatively soon. I walk into a room, and it's small. It's dimly lit. There's a couch. Oh, there's like candles. I'm thinking, am I at a spa? Where? Oh, no. Oh, no. I'm in the wrong room. Except I wasn't in the wrong room, because the woman I was scheduled with, the person that my doctor at Fort Detrick, Maryland, told me to schedule as a nutritionist, she was actually a psychiatrist, a psychologist.
Oh, my goodness.
And when that female physician put together what has happened, because I said, I'm here for a nutritionist appointment with Dr. So-and-so. And she's like, I'm not a nutritionist. And when we finally put it together, she apologized profusely for what had happened, not only because she was obviously embarrassed for being an innocent bystander in it, but I mean, obviously the unprofessionalism, I think, speaks for itself. Right. And again, I don't hold hate in my heart for what she did, because I think you truly just don't know, or you really want to hope that someone truly didn't abandon you when you really needed them. So I've learned to move past that. But it was very hurtful, thinking like, wow, how are you supposed to get help when obviously nobody believes you?
Right.
Yeah. So those are just some of the stories that I could tell. That's really how I got into it, because after that, you really just want to give up when no one's paying attention to you. And they're basically insinuating that despite having a really high IQ, despite having, really great accolades in life, you must be too stupid to understand that you're not dying. This is the same physician who told me I was doing this for attention, and that I was doing it and I was a pretty girl and didn't need to do that for attention.
Well, we're going to take a break for some commercials. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the reality behind what happened to you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
What makes for a perfect custom engagement ring? Truly understanding the elements that make a ring that's perfect for you. Custom by Colonial. The Colonial Jewelers box. There's just more in it.
Sponsored by Atlas Wood Floors, serving the area for more than 34 years. Wood floors, luxury vinyl plank. Anything that you put on your floor, they can handle it. Check out their Google reviews and give them a call today, 301-948-9663. That's 301-948. Wood. Be sure to ask for Jeff Koger or go to atlaswoodfloors.net.
All right, welcome back. Thank you for your patience. And please follow us at Everything Frederick Live. We've got all the action in Frederick going on right here. Ring that little bell and follow us and subscribe. Anytime you subscribe, a nonprofit can get $1 per subscription. So please help our nonprofits in Frederick. Plus you'll like us. We're great people. So, all right. Now, you mentioned that you had this faux pas with these doctors, okay? Now, in conversations that I have had with some people, they say that only 50% of the doctors actually really have taken a look into or studied or has proceeded to learn what the protocols are for people when they get bitten by ticks. Can you give us a reality check on that?
I would absolutely be happy to. My initial response to that figure would be, wow, that's shockingly high. Because if it was 50%, I can tell you, it wouldn't have taken 16 years to diagnose my condition. It wouldn't have taken the loss of my personal dignity at Frederick Memorial Hospital. And what I mean by that is on January 1st, 2025, I was admitted by ambulance. I was living in Brunswick, Maryland at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And sorry, it sometimes gets emotional thinking about it because it's like, wow, you survived this. And it's probably the first time I've talked publicly about it ever. So January 1st, 2025, I began a 36-hour seizure fit, and that started at my house. And again, transported by ambulance. I was strapped to a board, the whole 9 yards, the worst case scenario you could imagine in the movies. I get there. The crazy part about this is while I'm seizing and looking actually like I'm on The Exorcist, I was cognizant. My mind was still working. I was still able to have full functioning capacity of what was happening to me.
Right.
I could still speak, which was throwing a lot of people on it. From my own medical training, when you're going through these types of seizures, like you really shouldn't be able to have the cognitive function, which of course makes it difficult as a medical practitioner to have that when you're, coming in through a trauma bay. I fully understand that.
Right.
Where I have difficulty understanding my situation with Frederick Memorial is that I asked my mother-in-law, who was at the house with me and was in the ambulance with me, I said, bring all of my Lyme medications with me because that list is way too long to try to remember when I'm there. I mean, even now I'm on 24 different medications, and that's about half of what I was on when this was happening. So imagine explaining all that to an ER doctor, that poor ER doctor, I can't imagine. So here we are, hauling in like a bucket of medication. And I arrived at Frederick Memorial, and in the ER room, I'm going through the medications, and one of them happens to be Lamictal. And for some people who are not accustomed to Lyme protocol, Lamictal is what some people who are enduring psychosis who are prescribed. Sometimes I believe even bipolar medication. But this was specifically at the time I was going through Lyme rage. And Lyme rage, for those who are not accustomed to it, is your brain becomes so on fire from what's happening that it causes you to become violent. And it causes you to be explosive in ways that are sometimes unsafe. Right. And so I needed to be on that medication, and it was helping me. I had been on it for about a month at the time, so I wasn't having any issues with it. And I was feeling a lot better, and we were really happy for it. That being said, we get there. As soon as they saw Lamictal in the bucket, they said, "Oh, seizures, Lamictal, you're a drug addict. You're in withdrawal. That's what this is." And I said, no, I go through a lot. Like, I'll even pull up my medical marijuana card for you to see, like, to try to verify this. And imagine I'm shaking and convulsing. And if you visit my Instagram page, you can see these images. My mom and my family members were astute enough to be able to catch these. And I'm really grateful, because I don't think anyone would really, truly understand. I should have died that day.
Right.
I'm a medical walking mystery that's actually being studied. My doctors are studying me. Everything that I take is being studied and monitored, because I should have died that day. Whether, why I'm here or for whatever reason, that's not why we're here today. But at Frederick Memorial, everything was stripped from me, from basic patient rights to human rights. I sat in Trauma Bay 1. Mm-hmm. My family, they wouldn't let my husband back. They wouldn't let my family back. Mm-hmm. I had 0 people there in my time of need around me. They left the Trauma Bay curtain open, so everyone in the ER could see me convulsing, and I'm looking like this, and I can't control it. And that, when you don't even know what's happening to you, and you see other people who are equally freaked out by what they're seeing you go through, it is extremely difficult to keep your heart rate down. It is extremely difficult to be alone. Yes. I was admitted around 8:00. I didn't see my family or get into an actual room until probably 1 a.m. And this was after, I'd seen crazy things happen in that ER room. And I'll tell you, you're not wrong if you're at the ER room and you see bad things happening. If you think you see something, you need to say something, because there are things going on there. And I know that because Frederick Memorial has since apologized to me for the story that I'm sharing. Right. So anyway, we get back, and they finally are looking into this, and they're trying to say this. Long story short, patient advocacy eventually needs to get involved, because they're just not listening, and they're just not helping in any way. They put me in the observation room because, I was the drug addict. And I understand that I'm coming in. I'm brown. I'm tattooed. If I'm not wearing makeup, I understand what I look like from the general populace. But what people don't understand is I'm actually an ex-politician in Virginia. So, I'm an elected official. And this is happening to me. This can happen to anyone in our country. Yes. Imagine what it happens to when the people whose families are not in the room. For the first time in 15, 16 years, this was really when my family was seeing me for the first time going through something like this. Right. And then they're seeing that the crazy stories that I've told them before, the things that just are illogical, that's actually what's happening in the ER room. That's actually how Rebekah's being treated. It wasn't until, they had FMH try to call security on them for simply asking for patient rights that they realized, wow, okay, we need to take a step back here. There's something seriously wrong here. Right. Again, my mind's working. I asked my mom, call Dr. Shore. Dr. Shore is my Lyme literate physician in Reston, Virginia. And I say that not to put a target on his back. I say that because that man has saved my life. That man was available by phone when I needed him. I had my mom call him. He had answered his cell phone, and he said, hey, absolutely not a problem. I'm available on call. Tell those doctors to call me. Here is my cell phone. Here is a link to my NIH published papers. Yes. Have them read it. It will explain how to treat her. It will explain what you're seeing. Mm-hmm. And you know what? They had all the answers there right in front of them. And they said no. They refused to even look at it or have a conversation. It was much easier for them to write me off as a crazy person. And it was much easier for them to write me off as just somebody that because I wasn't having a heart attack, like I wasn't a priority. But there I was. My brain was practically dying. I still have I still have deficits. And that's hard unless you spend a lot of time with me, because I really work hard to try to diminish that, because that is embarrassing. It's hard when, you're 39 years old and now you're mentally and physically handicapped, because doctors refuse to learn, because there's a stigma. And, we can argue all day, right or wrong, what that stigma came from or why it still exists. But at the end of the day, I'm the patient living the life. I'm the patient who suffers, and I represent every other Lyme patient who's ever experienced anything like that. And the sad reality is that happens every single day. It's happening in your backyard, right here in Frederick, Maryland, right here in Fort Detrick, where they keep U.S. Hammerid, where they keep Ebola. They keep the Ebola virus there. And when you think about how mind-blowing that is, that they still run DOS software for your medical records, we have to start asking some serious questions here. And that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Right. Well, we need to move along. Not because I don't want to hear more, because this is a perspective that the general public needs to hear. Okay. And my job is to make sure that there are positive experiences from some people, but more often than not, you're going to hear the experience that you had. And it's something that people sweep away. When I was doing Lyme education in Frederick, people would say, nope, I don't need help. So,
how did that make you feel? Sorry to interject. I'm just curious. Like, how does that make you feel?
Honestly, I feel that it's very telling about how people feel that protecting themselves and their children. You would rather go through what Rebekah's going through, and then get the prevention. Hippocrates. Prevention is better than cure.
Absolutely. I agree with that. And having the perspective of an educator, I agree with you on prevention 100%. Especially when you consider, teachers, and where I come from, my perspective. And I'll say this, I've shared this on Capitol Hill. I've shared this with you. I'm going to share it with the public now. The way I feel about it is most parents don't know what their children are being exposed to. They don't know that there's really no safe spray. I mean, to spray schools, I mean, that's a whole different conversation. You can use permethrin, you can use all this other stuff, but there's a bunch of other stuff you can talk about. I understand now that when I was an education director, I was in charge of several schools. I was in charge of management, of teachers, and so forth. That also was testing, so you're helping administer these screenings and these testings for young minds. And I can see now, having lived through the Lyme and the terror that it is, it really helps explain some of the questions that I had as an administrator of what is happening to these kids in these schools, because some of these kids would be absolutely fine. And then they would be experiencing psychosis that couldn't be explained by anything else. But you know what? At the end of the day, they all had tick bites.
Right.
All of them, every single one, tick bites. And I just think about, I can't imagine, I've had it for 16 years. I cannot imagine having it since I was 5.
Right.
That blows my mind, because that would be all I've ever known.
I can't speak to that, because we're going to probably have a parent with their child on our show at some point. But my next question for you is, if you could speak directly to parents and families who think this probably won't happen to us, what do you want them to know?
I would say Lyme is probably already affecting somebody you love, whether you realize or not. And I say that from the perspective of, oh my gosh, I might actually cry.
Oh, honey.
Lyme took away the relationship that I had with my mother and my father because they thought I was crazy. And like everybody else, how do you believe somebody who all the people tell you is crazy? It wasn't until they saw me almost die that, wow, no, she was telling the truth the whole time. I would say to you, don't let the loved ones in your life almost die before you start to believe them. Look at my story. My mom now is my best friend. My father, if I can make him believe in Lyme disease, I know that I can make everyone believe. So I would say to anyone like that, ask the question. The worst thing you can learn is that no, you don't have it and you can move on in your life. But if you do, you can save your life and you can save the ones you love.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this is a part of why it's so important to all of you in Frederick that we must become educated. So I'm going to move along. I'm sorry that we're on such a limited time because we could probably talk a long time about this.
I'm just thankful for the opportunity.
Yeah. Anytime, honey. Your social media presence suggests you've chosen to speak publicly about your experience. And what made you decide to share your story, to follow a life of advocacy?
I think it's the life I never wanted, but it's the life that's left for me. And I embrace that lovingly. I'm a very private person. If those who know me know, I have like a very small handful of true friends, and I keep my circle close for personal reasons. But I remember in my darkest moments that there was nobody out there telling their story like mine. Couldn't find it. It's right. Like, when you're growing up, you can't find the Barbie doll that's not your skin shade. It's kind of like that. I couldn't find anyone to relate to. And I thought, wow, that was a really lonely feeling. And if there's one little person out there, little girl, little boy, grown adult, hunter, ex-military person who has ever felt a shred of what I felt, go look at my page. You're not alone.
Absolutely.
And I wanted to share that, the ugly side of it, you have to see it too, because the only way out is through.
Right.
I truly live by that phrase. The only way out is through. And you have to see it if it's ever going to get better. And it's really hurtful sometimes because there's some really dark things on there. You're going to see me talk about Lyme rage. You're going to see me fall apart. You're going to see those things. But I would be doing a disservice to the Lyme community if I only showed the parts where I look pretty or the parts where I'm smiling, because that's not Lyme disease. Lyme disease is the terrifying parts. It's the parts you don't let people see that really define it. And I want people to see that because I want people to understand.
So on my part, I do this for the Lyme community, but more so for the children of the general populace. We are telling this story because they need to see what could happen to their family. We want you to wear bug repellent. We want you to have your clothes sprayed with permethrin so that you don't have to deal with this. Heck, spray your blankets with permethrin, let them dry. If you're going out hunting.
Even to the grocery stores? Because I've had a tick on me, crawling on me, even at a grocery store. So
Absolutely.
permethrin.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So I think we should take a look at, after everything you've experienced, and we've packed a lot into this episode here, because people are learning it's not just about the bite.
Mm-hmm.
It's about what happens after the bite too.
That's a great way of saying it. I have not thought of it that way, but I couldn't agree more.
Right. So I'm going to have to say that in closing, what is one thing you would like every family watching Frederick TikTok to do differently after hearing your story?
What to do differently? I don't ever want to tell people how to live their lives. That's one thing I say that I don't like to be told myself. But I would say, believe the stories. Believe the scary ones. And the ones that sound unbelievable, they're 100% true. So if you don't want to live any part of that, the return policy on Lyme, it really sucks. So don't get it. That's what I'm saying. Don't get it. Prevention, 100%.
Okay. Perfect. Where can people follow you and learn more about what you are doing?
Absolutely. These days, people can find me on Instagram at Bitten Not Broken. I can also be found on my more personal page. So if you really like seeing things that I do on the farm, or maybe me making like a peach marmalade or something, that one is going to be the Sweet Sicario.
Excellent. Oh boy, I'm in for some recipes.
You are. I have peaches to pick. They are like crying for me to pick them like in the next few days. So I will be making something.
Okay. I want to thank everybody if you have joined us. And if you haven't, I'm going to be posting this very soon. And I want to thank Rebekah Ontiveros for being on the show.
Thank you again for the time. I just appreciate every opportunity that I have to share my story. So thank you again.
You're very welcome.
You've been listening to the TikTok podcast, hosted by Christina Murphy. If this episode informed, inspired, or helped you better understand Lyme disease, take a moment to subscribe, share, and leave a review. Your support helps these conversations reach the families and communities who need them most. As always, you can watch all past episodes on the Everything Frederick Live YouTube channel.
This episode is a proud production of the Everything Frederick Live Podcast Network. Your home for Frederick's best podcasts, streaming daily on YouTube.